Hello and welcome to a DOVR tutorial. We'll be looking at preparing your footage in fisheye projection instead of equirectangular projection. And let's just recap what this is. So if we imagine that this is a sphere around us, we are looking forward. This is the top view. And you can see that this selected part is mapped like a nice circle, and when we go closer to 180 degrees we see that it starts mapping to a square, and at 180 degrees it maps perfectly into a square. So that's equirectangular projection. It basically stretches top and bottom just like a world map would stretch. So the problem occurs when we start looking at angles that are higher than 180 degrees. So let's take an example, 200 degrees. When we select this additional part, you can see that our mapping actually extends on the other half, so you basically need double the width, and it only maps on around the edges. So if we look just that part, you see that it only maps around, and all these pixels in the middle won't be used at all. So to get around this problem, we can check fisheye projection. Let's go to fisheye, and you can see it nicely maps in a square for 180 degrees. And if we check 200 degrees, you can see that the mapping looks totally the same. But if we check 180 degrees, you can see that that's the inner part, and additional 20 degrees is just added around the edges. So no need for double the width, and this is much better pixel efficiency than equirectangular for angles above 180 degrees. So let's jump back to Mystica. Here we have a nice K2 Pro footage that's actually 200 degrees of visible pixels, and we will be working on this footage to play in DOVR player in fisheye projection. So I prepared some stuff. Since the footage is quite slow to load, I prepared a single frame to have it load faster, and I also prepared this frame that has a circle in it and a cross that represents the absolute center of this lens. So to prepare this, you can use any like 2D compositing software. Just prepare a circle and a cross on alpha and overlay it, then try positioning this in the center, and also scale it so it fits nicely in the center. Maybe that's too big. And try to keep the edge even around the lens. So maybe something like this should work. And you prepare this for both eyes and import to Mystica. I already did this here, so let's start working. The first step is really simple. We do it the same as equirectangular projection. So let's start with the clean frames and go to VR stitch. Okay. And we will start stereo aligning the footage. Now, first thing we need to do is add another camera. Let's go in. The first camera is the right, and the second camera is left. I have to roll the cameras like this. Let's go to mix and let's set the focal length. Now, focal length is not really important. We will just set this for the align part, and let's enable the alignment, select the camera, and let's start aligning. Let's align these cars here in the background, this trash can. Let's fix the middle. I'm checking this tree. Again, the cars, can. Let's just repeat a few times so it aligns nicely. Okay, looks fine. This looks fine. Okay, something like this should work. So let's check left, right, looks fine. And now the next step is converting it to fisheye. So let's go to output camera, let's set it to equidistant fisheye. And you can see that we have a nice fisheye, but the cropping is all wrong. So let's go to output camera and let's check its focal length to scale. And now the important part is we have to crop this perfectly into a square. And for this we will help ourselves with framing node. So let's add framing. Let's crop 25% on the left and 25% on the right. And here we have it, nice square. And now the images that we prepared earlier with the circle will help us fit this perfectly inside this square. So let's go back, let's remove this and let's import the images with the circles. And you can see right from the start that the scaling is wrong, so let's start scaling, and also let's adjust the horizontal position. This looks okay. Now let's check the other camera, and for this we will go and fix it manually. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's fix it manually like this, and that's actually it. Now the next step is to place it vertically inside this square. So for this we will enable mix, and let's hide everything and enable grid. And this is the center of our square, and we have to position these centers at the frame centers, but not individually, but as a group, because we don't want to lose the stereo. So we go to output camera and let's just move it up, and we take the average position of these centers for the vertical alignment. So this step is done. You can disable grid, go back, and let's return the frames and let's check. Okay, this looks fine. The next step you see that the cropping is different for each eye. You can also fix this on the framing node. For the top you can crop down, and on the other eye you can see there's less, so let's just push up the bottom. So the cropping is same on both eyes now. Now this is it for the basic setup. You can actually render this out and watch it in the player, but I will show you some additional steps you can take, and that is removing the lenses. And what we will do is simply take this part from one eye and compositing over the other eye. So let's go out, we'll make some room here, and let's add a VR view node for this. And we said we need image from the other eye, and we also need framing because we're gonna be moving and scaling this mask. So now the rule for VR view for compositing is that the stacking order is reversed. So normally it Mystica stacks visibility, so this is the bottom, top, and it renders this one on top. For compositing it's reversed, so this is the bottom and this is the top, and another layer here would be on top of this layer. So let's go to VR view. We have to set the mapping to lat long and disable filter poles. This is specific to equirectangular. When you come close to the poles, it will start stretching the anti-aliasing, but we don't need this for our case. So what we have to do is simply go to framing node and go to shapes, create shape, and now we will just draw a mask here to composite. So let's go like this. You can adjust it to fit better like this. Looks fine. Then you select all the points, you do outside feather like this, and let's go closer and start adjusting. So first thing we will do is to move it up. Let's move to the side, and we can see this trash can doubling here, and let's just try to fit it perfectly on top of it. So let's go here, up a bit, maybe to the left. Okay, this looks fine. We can check if there's some doubling on this edge, and let's just check the scaling. You can see this part here. Let's scale down, something like this. And if we check the result and the previous frame, you can see that that's quite good result. We didn't change the settings much, but you can play with this to make a much better fit than this. So let's repeat for the other eye. We need VR view, the image from the other eye, and we need framing. Let's extend this down, left long, no filters. We go to framing, shapes, create shape, and let's draw. Let's adjust something like this, and let's do outside feather. Oh, sorry, let's select all. Outside feather. Let's go in and let's position it correctly. So move down. Let's find where it fits. Oh, I'm watching these cars here. Something like this looks fine. Let's see if there's some doubling, so let's scale like this. Looks fine, and let's check it. So we have the result, the original. That looks quite okay, and that's the final result. You can see we prepared the footage for fisheye projection. Maybe the last step, we can add a logo on top. So let's make some more room. Let's just crop it down. Let's go back. We need another VR view, and I'll take this logo and also add framing to move it. Let's go inside, and first thing we have to set for VR view is let long, no filter, and let's go to framing, set it to project, and let's scale this way down, and let's move it up, scale up a bit more, move up, and let's just crop the bottom, and something like this. Okay, so we have everything ready. If we go check the cameras, looks perfect. And the last step you have to do is actually replace these frames with footage. So if I make a copy of the footage, just like this, move these guys out, these guys in, and let's check it if it works. And we can see that it works nicely. For the rendering, we go to output, we set the video to stereo mode side by side VR 180, and we are good to render. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and happy rendering.